I hope we're like informing.
That was
informational.
So good. That's so good.
Yes,
You did it.
yes.
What are we informing on?
Igloo. That's right.
It is an I.
Yes.
I don't know if it fits.
Hi, I'm Reba Hervis, Artistic Director at Overshadowed Theatrical Productions. Welcome to this week's episode From the Wings with Rebecca Leland.
Hey.
Hey. We are going to talk about a very interesting topic.
Interesting is such a word that you chose to use. Why interesting?
Interesting word.
Important.
Important.
Imperative.
Imperative.
Impactful.
I love that you're giving all eyes. What a great alliteration.
We're killing it.
Anyway, you have been so good for me lately. And so you are like, one of the things that Rebecca is so great at.
Do tell.
And that is sensing that there's something that maybe somebody is giving a lot of time to or a lot of energy or thought to, and asking probing questions.
Okay, that's cute. A good thing?
Yeah, well, I think it depends,
okay.
Right? Like, I think, first of all, she's a really great conversationalist, and she's driven to, it's so funny because I can be in a car ride with her for hours, and then at the end I realize I only talked about myself because she doesn't really give you a lot of time to ask questions back.
Interviewer.
Yeah, yes, that's another I word.
Interviewer.
Yes, but you're super great at it. Yeah. But then that's not where it stops. It's not like you're just asking the questions and then you're done. But you actually also then kind of own how you're going to fix it.
I'm a problem solver.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, well,
let's do this with that.
If you're given time with that, then that must mean I'm going to fix it for you. How am I going to do it? And you can't always.
No.
But she tries. One of her new missions is to get everybody to love Overshadowed as much as she does.
Amen. Amen. No, truthfully. Yeah. And I love God uses our strengths, right?
Yes.
For maybe sometimes other people's weaknesses, right? And like Overshadowed, we are volunteer-based.
Yes, we are. And
there are so many opportunities to use our talents, and something that I also am trying very hard is to make people understand that Overshadowed's a ministry.
Yes.
And so what's really cool, and I think selfishly I love working in Overshadowed and doing things with Overshadowed because it's a ministry. Like it's double duty. I get to like utilize all the gifts that God's given me and more gifts that I didn't know that God had given me, but He's giving them to me. But then it's for a purpose, and it's for an amazing cause. Like truthfully to showcase Christ and to say like, hey, look what all the things.
Look at what God did.
Yeah. So it makes it easy. I think it makes it easy to see what people have been gifted with and to be like, hey, just so you know, you could do that at Overshadowed.
Well, I love it. And I love that she helps me because I can have a negative mind game that I play every once in a while. Not a super bad one, but I might make a comment and I might go, really, nobody really listens to me. And she'll go, you need to stop that. And she snaps me back into what it is that I should be thinking. Mm-hmm. So let me give you just a little bit of backstory about Overshadowed so that you can apply it. The reason that this is important for you is because, number one, maybe there's something that the Lord might put on your heart of a way that you could help Overshadowed. But even more than that, for you listeners or watchers that are in other places, if you've ever thought to yourself, like, what is the difference between this kind of company and that kind of company? Or I want to start my own theater companies. These are things to think about, okay? Mm-hmm. Overshadowed definitely started all volunteer-based. Yeah. We, in fact, very early on, there's a director in Chicago of the Provision Theater. Mm-hmm. His name is Tim Gregory. He is an award-winning actor. I don't remember which awards because I didn't know I was going to talk about it right now, so I would have to look it up. Yeah. But yes, like for actual acting, not I don't think for directing. But he started a Christian theater in Chicago called Provision, and we kind of started kind of about the same time.
Wow.
And he had a board member contact me, and we went out to lunch, and we just kind of talked about the difference. And he was like, well, how do you do blah, blah, blah? Because we do blah, blah, blah. Wow. And it became very clear to me that they have completely a different set of problems because they were for-profit and paid people versus the problems that I have being a non-for-profit and the fact that we didn't pay people. Yeah. So anyway, it's worked well for us for 22 years. They did get a building before we got one. They don't do, I don't even honestly know if they're still in existence. I kind of think they might be, but if they are, they only do one play a year and some camps. They were having trouble, and so they wanted to know what we were doing. And so then we just kind of talked about the different philosophies, like what are your hardships, what are mine. And I think he might have been a little bit interested in finding out whether we could collaborate a little bit, but it just doesn't work. If I'm not paying people and they are, then how do you...
Because then their actors are showing up being paid, your actors aren't.
Right.
And they're not going to pay your actors.
Yeah.
So you really can't collide those worlds.
No. And then they were getting different kinds of grants and things like that because they're for-profit, and they were paying all their staff, like their artistic director and all that kind of stuff. It was all getting paid. Whereas us, like literally nobody was getting paid. And that was a time that I didn't even give stipends. Now I give stipends, right? And so we literally people just were doing it for the passion of the ministry of what it was that they wanted to do. Like, how you like the way I threw out ministry.
I loved it. But you've seen God bless.
100 times. More.
21 years
20
later.
years of it, right. We are starting our 21st year of shows. He has moved us 3 times, and each time the place has been better for us and our needs.
Got us through the pandemic.
We had something that happened. Yes, absolutely. God got us through the pandemic. And then not only that, but we had something happen to us this summer, which caused us to have to remodel our downstairs with how many seats we had in it. And when we talk about Joseph, and I claimed the verse in Genesis that said, though man meant it for evil, God meant it for good. I 100% feel like that's what happened to us this summer because of the fire marshal coming in and taking a look at everything. We had to revamp our aisles and revamp where we put seats. But because of that, we were able to add rows, and we added like 50 seats. And so before, we knew we were growing with our season tickets, and we knew that we could not handle where we were with the number of shows that we had. So going into this particular season, we added a show on Saturdays, plus we had like 50 extra seats, and we're still selling out. So God is being so incredibly gracious to us with allowing us to sing his praise and to tell more people about him through what it is that we do, whether it happens to be on the stage with the story that we have, or whether it is in our cast meetings or whatever.
But that comes with walk by faith, not by sight. Because getting to like watch you walk through that was incredible, and like with prayer.
Oh my goodness,
because
it was hard.
Because like if we would know the outcome, how much easier would it be to trust the Lord? He's like, hey Reba, guess what I'm doing?
It's going to be great.
Yeah, you're going to get all the money. You're going to raise it all these kind of things. But it looked like roadblocks. And it looked like there was a time where you're like, Rebecca, I don't know if, because they were preparing for a show. And they were practicing for a show that Reba did not know if they were going to be able to open doors for. And like, to trust the Lord. And that does not look easy all the time. It's intense. But like, you knew what God brought you to. He's going to bring you through. Yeah. Not have any idea how.
It might not be the answer that I want. But for us, the Lord has been just exceedingly generous to us.
Going strong.
Yeah.
Like, how many plays a year?
We've always started out, the first year we did 3. And then, but since then we did 4, and then we added camps. And so if you count the camps, because it does take up time during the summer, right? But it's just a junior show rather than a large one. And so we have at least 2 full-length plays that we do for the camps. And then mini ones we do for other ones, and then we do our January show.
Incredible.
And now we have added concert series, like we had a ballet show a few weekends ago.
And Valentine's Day
And
shows.
we have a Valentine's Day that has become a pretty staple thing. And Shakespeare in the Park we started last year. So my goal would be, honestly, if I could have my dreams come true, I would want to have a theater that is all hours, that would be open almost 365 days a year. I would not want to be open on Sundays. And it has become pretty easy because we've never been open on Wednesdays. So I would probably take Wednesdays and Sundays off, and then use the building the rest of the time, have shows and rehearsals, so that there's literally something going on all the time. I would love to have a show like Ruth, which is my husband's favorite show that I've written.
Shout out, Chuck.
But to like have some kind of biblical show that is almost like a Sight and Sound, where people would come and they would want to go see that show because it's a staple. And then, so that's playing in one theater. And then in the other theater is playing other things that are just more entertaining, and the concerts and stuff like that. That's the dream. That is the big dream. I feel like God told me very early on when he gave me the dream that if people will go to the middle of a cornfield in Branson, or, well, not Branson because people go there, but in Pennsylvania, then why would they not come to Chicago where they come to visit? So why would they not come and see? Like, if you build it, they will come, right?
Yeah.
Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Theater of Dreams.
So
I know, it's pretty great, right?
So to get there, like, are there some needs for volunteering that we have?
Just in the norm, I was talking to Rebecca and I said, it's been 21 years. God is blessed. We've seen our attendance grow. People have now realized that we are a safe theater. And yet there's still so many people who have not heard of us, which is part of the reason we do From the Wings. Yeah. We hope that it makes it a way that you can share what it is that we do and tell other people in an easy way, right? So, but on top of that, I spoke at a women's group a couple weeks ago, and nobody in the room had ever heard of Overshadowed except for the woman who asked me to come speak. I mean, in this area where we have a room full of Christian women and none of them have heard of Overshadowed, we have a lot of fields that we can still plow in.
Amen.
Does that sound terrible?
Well, that's great.
So, so thinking about that, you think, well, okay, what is it that the Lord wants us to do? Does he really want us to go from where we are now to the vision? And if so, how do we get there? And so I was telling Rebecca that right now I feel like we are a big little theater. We have topped off kind of where we can at the little theater, and we are busting through the ceiling trying to get to be a small, middle-sized theater. Yeah. I don't know where the Lord is going to direct, but I know that to make it from step A to step B, which is obviously not A and B anymore because we've had 21 years, but to make it from little to middle size, let me say, there's a lot of transitional things that have to happen, I believe, and we have to think through, okay, well, so how does it have to change? Do you have to become more like Provision was before, where now we have to have people who are salaried, and if they are, where do you get that money? Right. Because it's always been part of my vision to be family friendly and family affordable. Well, right now our tickets are anywhere from $20 a seat, which I still think is affordable.
Amazing.
And our top one are $36. Yeah. I think $36 is starting to right now push it.
Wow.
You know?
Even though it's funny, like, you go to downtown Chicago, it's like, guess how much I paid for these tickets?
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
It's like, what a steal, man. But we're like, 30.
And we get free parking here, so you're not even going to have to pay for that.
Concessions are off the charts.
Yeah.
Incredible sets.
Yeah. I do think we have a little bit of room, but I do want to keep it in that family affordable.
You don't want to keep it.
Yes, it's like that would be something that I'd really rather not do.
Which is awesome.
So then how do you get to the next step to be able to pay people? It's like, well, for one thing, then we have to be able to get grants. And I had wanted kind of one of our board members to be able to come on and talk a little bit about that, because one of the things that we found out when we were applying for grants is that now, since when I applied a few years ago, things have changed so much that you literally have to have certain staff people or people who have volunteered to run a certain position. So first of all, we got kind of held up of not being able to apply for the next one because our elevator went out. And we've tried and tried. We spent a lot of money. We haven't been able to fix it. And so now we're putting a lift in, which is going to accomplish that purpose. Okay. But we literally cannot apply for anything else until the elevator gets fixed. When that happens, to get a grant, you have to have a support person that is dedicated to any handicap needs. So if somebody comes and they're worried about the lift or hearing impaired or anything else, we have to have literally a line or email or whatever with that person, and that volunteer position is entirely dealing with special needs.
That is niche.
Well, we don't have anybody for that. And honestly, we're a little right now out of people. So that's just one, just by itself, without thinking about anything else. It would be great to have somebody who wanted to write grants, because it's an art form all in and of itself to find one. We have been told that if we would take God out of our mission statement, that there would be people who would be willing to lend us money, or, well, not lend us money, but to, maybe we could get a grant if we didn't do that, or maybe we would have people advertise in our playbill if we would take God out of our mission statements. Well, I just have to tell you people right now, that is not something that I am willing to do. If I take God out of my mission statement, then I am just any other theater around. And we are a theater with a difference, and that I feel like God would look at me like I'm a thief, the thief next to him on the cross, and he would look at me and go, like, I thought we knew each other. Like, what are you doing? Because thou hast been ashamed of me, I will be ashamed of you. That's what I feel like. Yeah. I know my salvation is not wrapped to that, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm just not at this point going to do that. It will be left for the next generation of overshadowed, which hopefully they would not at the same time.
Amen.
So another way that you can help us. So not only do I need a person to volunteer for that position, but I also need somebody who maybe would go out and coordinate getting ads in our playbills, because I know that you go to most theater companies and you flip through your playbill and you have page after page after page. I have a woman who contacted me the other day who I know is ready to buy an ad.
Wow.
And I literally do not have time to call her and get the ad.
Oh.
So I need to do that. And then I have another person who put an ad in the last one, and I haven't had time to call him and get his payment for it. Wow. So I need a person to do that kind of stuff. Yeah. Then just the day-to-day stuff that has to be done. And we have a couple of people that volunteer here that we ask questions to so that you can meet them and know. And one of them is Christy Dilly. And we asked her because she's in charge of our hair and makeup team. And so we had a little time that we talked to her because we need help in the hair and makeup thing. She never gets a day off. She is up there doing hair and makeup, and we're pulling in people and saying, help us. And it would be really great if we went deep enough. My goal would be if we could go deep enough that you only have to volunteer for 2 shows a year. And then you don't have to feel the pressure of me saying, I really need help for something else, because we're deep enough and there's enough people that are involved in Overshadowed that it's not the same person having to give their life. Because honestly, I think that Christians should have another life other than Overshadowed.
Yeah, amen.
So, So let's let you listen to what Christy has to say. Now we have Christy Dilly with us, who has been in charge of our hair and makeup department for, I don't know, how many years now?
I don't know, a few years.
A few years, but well, she is fabulous, and she always adds the best touches to our characters. I always feel like it's like the icing on the cake after we get everything else done, and it just makes everything authentic and look the way that it's supposed to. She is amazing. Christy, thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you. I enjoy it.
We kind of want to talk about the importance of it, and maybe what's your favorite thing you've ever done? Like, add that with it.
Okay. Well, I love it when we get to do the shows with lots of hair and makeup, that are maybe over the top or a little bit different. So like Devil and Daniel Webster was a lot of fun because we had all those characters from different time periods, different hairstyles, a lot of them dead.
Yeah, a lot of them dead.
We just did A Christmas Carol. That was a lot of fun. We got to do Marley the ghost, and he changed into another character partway through the show. So we had like changes during the show of hair and makeup and everything. So that was a lot of fun.
So that is exciting. If any of you want to learn more about that, Christy can also teach. But we'd really kind of like to know, do you need extra help in this department?
We always need help with hair and makeup. So there's getting ready before every show. We have hair and makeup needs. There's wig styling. There's helping kids. Sometimes kids just need help getting their basic makeup on. Or, during the show, there's quick changes. So a lot of times one character changes into another character and they have a hair change or a wig change, makeup change, things like that. So yeah, we always need help.
Does anybody have to have have a special skill set or anything to be able to be part of this department?
I think you just need to, be willing to jump in and try. A lot of times, I think it's something you can learn, but you need to be willing to jump in. So, like, I love volunteers that are like, just tell me what to do, and I'll do it, and then I can kind of show them. So,
if I had, from watching this video, if I had 20 people say, I want to help, would you say, oh, no, I don't need that many? Or is there a number you would love to have?
Well, usually I need like 4 or 5 people per show. So, and maybe you can help in the spring, but you can't in the summer, and then I get somebody else,
So you'd
another
love
team
20
for the
people.
summer. So sure, I can have a
people that are
team I can
flexible.
call. Yep.
Yes. What do you think the biggest perk is of working on the hair and makeup team?
We have a lot of fun.
You guys do.
We
They have parties.
We have wig parties. We have just time to hang out with the cast, which is really fun. Backstage, we sing and dance behind the scenes, and
Yeah,
stuff.
they get to see
So-
everything from backstage, which I think is a lot of fun.
And you feel like you're a part of it, but you don't have to be on stage.
I love that. Well, thank you for everything you do. You guys, you need to come join her. Thank you. Also, you have met Mike Larson on our show several times, the technical director. So let's take a moment to hear him express his needs and why you should be a part of the tech community. And now we have somebody that you're very familiar with because you've seen him on our show before. This is Michael Larson. He is our technical director at Overshadowed. Mike, thank you, first of all, for all you do to make our shows better. Do you think that the job of a technical director is something that somebody who's interested in theater should consider? Are there ways that somebody could be professional in this line of work?
Absolutely. If they're technical, if they enjoy technical things, it's good if they know some things about electricity, electronics, and we have to understand the soundboard and that kind of thing, and maybe lighting. If they understand all the pieces, it's a lot of could be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. It's very important, and then you build a team. In our case, we build a team.
It's kind of the book cover on the show, right? I mean,
I'll take it. Yeah.
So the technical director is the head of all that, but you listed a few things, the lighting and the sound.
Right.
Are there
Music,
any
sure.
other pieces that maybe have jobs underneath it, but it funnels up to you?
Yeah, basically anything you see and hear should run underneath this
That sounds
realm.
important.
Yeah, well, if you see it and hear it. So yeah, and then each discipline, we could have 5 people in the tech booth running the show, a couple follow spots, someone on lights, someone on music, someone on microphones, and there's video sometimes. So you can't do all that yourself. So you can organize and make sure that it's all covered and that the show comes together with the designer and with the directors. But then ultimately you got to have a team to really run the show and make it
So
happen.
speaking of having a team, what is your biggest need volunteer-wise?
Soundboard. Somebody that can run a soundboard with 32 microphones, mixing it with the music, balancing it, making sure that we don't miss entrances and exits. Running the soundboard on a complex show is the most active. You're very involved, very active. You have to be on top of it completely. Running the music or running lights is very critical. You got to advance the cues at the right time. But there are periods where you have some downtime until the next scene change, for example. With the microphones, you are constantly listening to every actor, trying to keep them balanced, and that's a skill that you can't just put somebody in the chair and say, here's a good cue book. Advance the cues at the right time. They have to have a little bit more savvy, I would say.
If somebody is watching this and they're like, wow, I really want to get involved with Overshadowed, and that sounds interesting, I'd really like to fill that need for you. What would you be interested in talking to them?
I would say, yes, I want you. I need you. We need people because we run 15 shows, and it may be that not everyone can be there for every show, so it's nice to have some depth. But the soundboard is a place where I just don't have enough people.
What are some perks of being technical director or working on the tech team for a show?
Well, obviously there is satisfaction of a job well done.
Ooh,
I mean,
that's always good.
When the show, actors want to do an excellent job. But when we do an excellent job, the show, when it goes off
It makes
beautifully,
better.
I mean, it's exciting to say we didn't make any mistakes tonight. Every single cue was hit on time. Even if the audience has no clue, we know if we miss it, we miss something. But yeah, just to know that at the end of that show, the audience is standing up and they loved it, and you were a critical part of it. That's the best perk you could get. Of course, on my team, if you're part of the tech team, we have a special tech shirt. I'm actually wearing it under here. And it's only for people that have been on the see a little peek preview. Only people that have been on my tech team. So if you want the shirt, you gotta put in the activity. You know what I'm saying?
He also has special concessions that are only for the tech team.
It's true.
And
It's true.
he has a pretty sweet setup back there.
We stock the snacks. We got a coffee maker. You know, we got to take care of the people.
And you get to see the show for free.
And you get to see the show.
Lots of times
As
for free.
often as you possibly could want to see the show for free. So,
And being part of the team, don't
yeah,
you think?
it's-
Like feeling like you're part of the production. For
Yeah,
somebody who
absolutely.
can't sing or act, then this is a way for them to feel like they're, that they put on something really great.
yeah,
So-
they're as important as any actor on that stage.
Amen.
No question about it.
Amen. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
And lastly, we got to talk to Kaylee Sell, which she is so much fun to be backstage with, and she does so much hands-on work, and she shows that there's all different types of creativity. Because I think when we think of theater, we think of acting, singing, maybe we think of lights, maybe we think of the hair, but she is like the hands-on, the set, the backstage. So listen to Reba's interview with her.
Our next guest is Kaylee Sell. Kaylee came to us about 6 months ago, maybe?
Yeah, a year ago, White Christmas was my
Oh, so White Christmas was the first time you were with us, and she came to us saying that she would volunteer with us because her brother was in the show, and that was the reason that she was like, well, I'm driving anyway, so I'm here, and she volunteers at her parents' theater as well. So it just seemed like a natural fit. And once she was here, I was like, I don't want to let her go because she's so great backstage. And now she's pretty standard, been our stage manager for the last couple of shows, and after she interned with us for a while. So, Kaylee, as we're trying to get more volunteers, yet tell people a little bit about what it takes to be a stage manager, I would like to know what you feel is your best skill set that has made it good for you to be able to be not only a person that works on stage crew, but then gave you the promotion, so to speak, to be a stage manager.
I'm a very get done person, so I look for things that get done. I take initiative a lot of saying, oh, this curtain needs to get fixed, I'll just fix it.
That's amazing.
And so I usually, a person who takes initiative without having to be told is a bonus, but a lot of the things I do is, if people already have experience and I don't have to, take time to explain to them what stage right and stage left is, that's also great. But because once you get rolling into shows, it's kind of hard to explain to them, hey, go fix this, without them going, what are you talking about? That's kind of frustrating. But it's really, really fun to just be backstage, be a part of the cast, and have that experience. And yet, for me, I have kind of serious stage nerves. I don't like going on stage, so that's why I was like, well, I'll just do crew, and crew's almost as fun as being part of the cast. So
I love that because I think sometimes people feel like backstage people aren't as important, and I'm here to say that if you don't have people working backstage and managing the things that go on behind the curtains, so to speak, then you kind of have a little bit of chaos, and you don't want that unless you're doing a play called The Play That Goes Wrong, and then you can have chaos that is controlled chaos. So you think your biggest perk is for somebody who doesn't necessarily like to be on stage, you find that a perk for you is that you get to be involved without having to put yourself out there.
Correct.
Like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest perk for me that she's here is that she's dependable and that she, as she said, gets the job done. And she's intuitive. So I don't always have to tell her what to do because she thinks forward and does it. Would you say that you feel like we need more volunteers in that capacity, working the stage crew, backstage, things like that?
It would definitely be helpful. You know, when I first came on, I didn't realize, but Yo's like the only one, our set builder, Yo's the only one to fix sets when they break. Thankfully, with how my parents brought me up, I learned the mechanics of tools and how to, simple operations and stuff like that. So when something does break, I kind of know basic solutions to fixing
Another
it.
thing that makes her wonderful.
But definitely being stage crew does not only involve moving sets around, but it's also, you know, you gotta take care of the sets. You gotta learn how to, you know, fix them and you know, replace parts on them in case they break. Sometimes I do end up calling you up and be like, I have no idea how to fix this.
This is above my skill set.
But, you know, definitely there have been times where I was like, oh my gosh, this broke during a show and we have to fix it. And I've just been like, well, we'll hot glue it and see what happens,
Yeah.
you know? And that ability to know kind of the basics of, I don't know, hardware and how to use tools correctly. Because definitely I know a lot of people will be like, sure, I'll give it a shot, and they have no idea what they're using. and then you end up, you
That
know,
would be me.
yeah.
Well, she did touch on another place that we do need help sometimes, and that is the fact that Yo is the only construction guy that we typically have. We do hire an outside company, Higgins Construction, which is, they're very great to us, and they'll come in for like anywhere between 3 and 5 days and help Yo do the initial work. But then, like this last play, he worked all the way up until the end, still doing the other things that needed to be done. It's for our stages and our set that we like to make so elaborate for our audience. It's really hard to be a one-person job, which is what it is sometimes now. So that is an area that we definitely need volunteer help for, as well as some artistic design every once in a while. And backstage help, we didn't even mention props as well. And Yo, sometimes that falls to him as well, because we don't have enough volunteers backstage. So I'm putting out the plea to you all. There are a lot of ways that you can get involved and be a part of a production that you might not even be aware of. Thank you, Kaylee. We will see you. Well, we won't, because you'll be backstage. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I really don't know what we would do without any of those people.
Yeah, quite literally. And the team needs to grow, and there's so much space to grow and learn. I think that's a part of all of these interviews, is they all were like, oh yeah, like come and learn how to do it. And like when I think of a great area to learn, it's sewing. Like just the other day, I was like, I don't know how to sew. Like that's not something I know how to do. But to like sit in a costume room with all these women who know how to sew and know how to make these beautiful ornate costumes and sit alongside them and learn, like what an opportunity.
Yeah, I love that. And I know that they're willing to do that. Jamie, who just did our last show, I remember when she first kind of started, literally they were teaching her and saying, here, this is how you put a zipper in. And now she's costuming a whole show and doing it very creatively and very beautifully. Yeah. The other areas that we have is we have front of the house people. We have people who have to usher. I've said it many, many times. I wish literally that somebody would take a burden and say, I'm going to bring my small group and I'm going to take the first Friday of every show and we're going to come, and this is going to be our ministry opportunity. We're going to have fun. We're going to go out to eat, and then we're going to come and we're going to usher for the show. It would be a fun
ministry opportunity.
Yes.
Like some people have you out here putting a hairnet on and, you know, doing different things.
Yeah.
Here at Overshadow, you get to dress all cute and black and white.
Yeah.
And they just made specific, like, best seats in the house, arguably.
100%.
For the ushers. You get to come, you get to meet the different people who come and see the show. You get to sit in these great seats. And it's like, it's a really fun way to serve with someone else.
I also love the fact that my ushers, when they think about it, I know that my front of the house, my house manager is Marilyn Gray, and I know she gets it, where we've talked about the fact that the ushers are the first touch that people have when they walk in, and we get a chance to make them feel well. I've had people who have come to our shows a lot who will come up and ask the ushers to pray for them about different things, or they've tried to talk to them. It literally, if you want it to be your night of ministry, to minister to these people who are coming here thinking that they're just going to have a good time without realizing how much more significant it is, this is your opportunity. And it's such a need. We struggle every show, unless it's a show that's selling out, we struggle all the time with having enough people to come usher. So that would help us so incredibly much. The weight on the costumers is huge. It would be so great if people would volunteer to take laundry home at the end of the weekend, or people would come in and help iron. I know you used to do that, where you would have, a little afternoon.
I didn't know how to iron, and then I learned
how to iron. You learned, and so that's so great, right? Those are all significant ways. But recently, we've also talked a little bit about marketing. So do you want to say anything about marketing as our head of the marketing?
Yeah, so for marketing, we have a team, Elisa Bianchi, who's actually in a lot of shows. Her and I have taken over marketing. And I think the biggest need is sharing. Like we talk about From the Wings, and it's like the goal of From the Wings is for you to share it with other people, not just to show our faces, but to show the ministry that it is. So if you follow Overshadowed, it is huge help. And then just liking and commenting, and there's even like bookmarking, and like that really helps with the algorithm and everything. So it's cool that like it's free in some aspects to help.
When we ask you for all the things, that is one of the ways that you could help us by just sharing. And it doesn't cost you anything, except maybe a couple of seconds of your time.
Right. And whenever you come to a show, make sure to @us and be like, hey, I was out at this show. And us resharing that and showing that people really enjoy Overshadowed and coming here, and they do feel a lot. They feel a difference. They feel that it is a theater with a difference. So what are some positions that you would love to fill?
Well, right now, I have somebody who's been a volunteer at Overshadowed for years. And she actually moved away, and she still does 2 very significant jobs for Overshadowed. She's in charge of the playbill, and she makes sure that all our advertisers are happy with all the 3 advertisers that we have. We're very happy.
So that's something we also need. If you know of someone who wants to advertise, it is so
important. Yes. Oh my goodness.
You get such an audience.
So we have approximately 4,000 people who see most of our plays. We have Joseph, we only did for 3 weekends, so we had 3,000. So I guess it's more like 3,500. Yes, for each play. And we do 5 a year, right? Plus our camps, where we have at least 400 people that are seeing our camps.
So if you get an ad, you get it for the year.
You get it for the year. You can buy an ad to get advertising for the whole year for $750 for a half a page, $1,000 for a full page, and then if you want other bells and whistles, like being on our website with a link and different things like that, you can go up to a whole bunch of different sponsorship levels. But if you just say, I'll be happy with the half page, man, if I had how many people give us $750, I mean, I know it's only a year, but
that's so
I mean, you have 10 people and look where you're at, and it makes a significant difference. So yes, if you have a business or know somebody who has a business, I'm telling you, our people really do look at who they do business. Like our bank, I know a lot of people that put their money in the bank because they're sponsored. I know people who use our realtor. I know people who go to the printer that's in there. So I'm telling you, I can't guarantee you, but I do know that there are people who look at it and try to make a difference.
And you need someone to kind of organize.
So then I need another person to like take all the playbills, take all the cast and the bios and proof it and lay it out there graphically. It's a huge job. My friend who's been doing it for years and years and years is going to stop doing that position after the Hello Dolly playbill, which will be this summer. I would love it if somebody came in before that so that during Dolly she could teach them through it. Then the same friend has also been patron manager for all the same amount of time. And at the end of the year, she is going to retire from that position as well. She believed in Overshadowed so much that she moved away, and she has been doing these 2 really big jobs for us for a long time. Patron manager is even more significant, honestly. We value those of you, like those 70 of you who are going to start being a donor with $5 a month. We like to send thank you cards, and we like to let you guys know what's going on. And we, of course, have to do the text letter that you get at the end of the year and all those little things like that. Manager. That's what our patron manager does. And I would love it if we had somebody who was also here and could meet you. Kendra has tried to do that from time to time, where she has tried to come in on days of shows, but it would be so nice if somebody was here. And just like there is a house manager who meets you and greets you, it would be nice if you guys knew what day the patron manager is going to be here, and that would be great too. But I really appreciate everything that Kendra has done for us over the years, and I'm very sad to see her go. But it also gives an opportunity for somebody else who's like, I don't know how I'm supposed to be a part of Overshadowed, but I know that I am. So
yeah, and there's such a spot for each and every different gift that God
Yep,
has given.
absolutely.
Like some more organizational, more in person, like talking to
Yep.
people, but also some, hey, I'm gonna be more behind the scenes. I'm gonna be putting together the playbill. So like there really is something for everyone. And again, it's all for ministry, and it's all for the purpose of glorifying God,
amen.
which we love.
So I guess the purpose of this video is twofold. One, to show you the difference between a volunteer organization and one that would be for profit.
Yeah.
I do believe that I could have gone either way, right? I could have started it like the example that we talked about at Provision Theater in Chicago. I could have very easily done it that way and had a different structure. But I do feel that in a volunteer organization that we all are in it with a passion and a heart that you do not have when it's your job and you're just going 9 to 5. And honestly, as we grow, I'm a little afraid of losing that heart. So somehow or another, I want to keep the culture here that we still love the opportunity that we've been given, and we still do it for the passion of the ministry instead of just because we're going to get a salary at the end of the day and it becomes a great place to work. So I hope you'll join me on that journey. If there's something that the Lord is impressing on you that you're like, wow, I think I could do that, or I want to know more about, please, please, please contact us. If you've had experience in a community theater somewhere where you live, or your church's theater or anything like that, please tell us if there's something that I'm missing or how we make a transition. Please share those things with us. I would love to hear more. I'm willing to learn. I realize that as I go from step A to step B here, it's a significant change, and I'm excited about what the Lord is going to do for us, but I realize it's going to take more people, more money, more people, and those are all things that literally I don't really feel comfortable with asking for a lot. I feel like God impresses on the giver to know where to give the money. I know that the bank has said many, many times that for us to get a loan, if we were going to try to build anything, we had to have at least 100 monthly donors. And I mean, and we're talking like you don't have to give $100.
You could give $5
You can
a
give
month.
$5 a month. And they have, somehow or another, it's just really hard for people to get into believing that, I think, because I do have some, but I've been
How
saying...
many more do we need? How many more do we need to 100? Give me a number.
70 maybe?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
So how many more till we get to 100?
70 maybe?
Okay, so ready?
Yeah.
What if we get 70 people to give $5 a month? Like that alone would be impactful for Overshadowed.
100%.
Wow. So even if you're listening and you're like, I don't have the time, you might have the resources.
Yeah.
And like when we tell you how impactful that would be, and there's 70 people out there who could give $5 a month. You go into your couch, you find your change, and there's your $5 a month.
I love
you
that.
You just don't buy one coffee. Like literally one coffee.
A month.
A month.
Yeah.
Make it at home, dare I say for a moment. That's $5 a month.
Yeah.
So like that's part of Overshadowed and giving to the ministry, right?
Yeah.
No.
And you know what? We can take money long distance too.
100%,
So
yes.
if you guys are somewhere else and you feel like that theater has impacted your life, I would love it if you became a donor for Overshadowed. But if you don't, and theater has meant something to you, find a local theater and make a difference there. That would also be something that would really be very heartwarming to us. Thank you for listening to us. And right, go ahead. I'm going to let you do it this time.
I know we paused and I was like, not ready. But until next time, this is just me
And me
talking to you
from the wings.